Hey there, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I talked about the stock market. I talked about the crypto market. But what I haven't given an update on the past few videos is the best penny stocks to buy now. I want to take a look at the 6 penny stocks that I've been covering on this channel and talk about if there's still potential lying around for any one of those 6. So make sure that you're paying attention. I better take a look at my notes here. Otherwise, I'm not going to remember to list them all. BEAM, B-E-E-M. PACB for Pacific Biosciences, Ocugen, OCGN, and then there's also Rekor, R-E-K-R, BBAI, and QSI. Those are the 6 of them that we are looking at in this video for the best penny stocks to buy now. Now, mind you, if you guys want updated technicals on these, I'll put those available over at the Discord. Link is down in the description. I want to make a story of momentum for you as we go through. We'll take a look at the monthly charts and boil down to the daily charts. Bring the moving averages into it and talk about what I'm looking at in terms of will we see further upside. And I think the monthly chart is a really good place to start for several reasons. Let me start off, and I sort of have these in a similar or sort of order for you, if you will. And the order that I have is probably the most dismal looking monthly chart to the more promising looking ones, at least from more long-term perspectives. So when we look at this is BEAM, B-E-E-M here, you can see this subdued price action, not a whole lot going on. 2021 hits, 2020 and 2021 hit and goes absolutely bonkers with a ton of liquidity in the market. And as liquidity dries up, BEAM starts to suffer. It doesn't really prove itself as a company over time. So being a penny stock, I'm not saying that there's no potential here, but most penny stocks do eventually go to zero. It's something like 90% of them or something like that. So when I talk about best penny stocks to buy now, I don't necessarily mean long-term holds, but that it could at least be some short-term potential to them. So for BEAM, when we look at the RSI for this one, it's very subdued, down around 33, which puts it near the oversold territory, but not quite there. If we go to the weekly chart for BEEM, you can see that we were already down here. Let me move the volume up and we'll stretch the RSI way up so we can really pay attention to this spot down here where you can see that deep oversold territory reaching down quite a bit here. Let me move this out of the way. It's in my face. There we go. Now I can see it. 22.69 is what we reached down to on this on a weekly basis for BEEM. So what does that mean? Well, for a weekly basis, a monthly basis, still looking pretty darn bearish, no longer in the oversold territory, but still just generally bearish. And we moved to daily. And this is more what I was talking to when I first put out BEEM for the best penny stocks to buy now. Shrink that up for you. We actually shrink down and we popped up above 50 for just a little while. So we came off the bottom of this thing. Let me put it up on screen for you here and I'll show some of the technicals. I said we need to hold support up here at this 50. Actually, I believe it was the 50 EMA. Let me put that up there for you. And so far you can see all we got off that 50 EMA is nothing but rejection. Feels a little bit like high school dating, at least my high school dating experience. Rejection, 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 and just sold on down. Now, we do have this minor trend line coming off the bottom of this thing. I showed you what it looks like on a monthly basis. So the momentum that we had on the big volume move kind of sputtered out for right now, still holding this support. We do want to, here's what we want to watch for specifically, this yellow and the green that you see separated here. We want to see the green back over top the yellow like we had back at this part. Some more volume movement would be great on this thing. A little bit more volume than we had at this most recent time. So you guys can see big volume back here, although not much happened. And then when we move over here, big volume, big move up. And there here, decent volume. I was like, hey, this could really move us if we can break over top of resistance. And we never got that 50 EMA as resistance. So we're trying to watch for that green to cross back over top the yellow. Right now, we got rejected off of it. So in terms of best penny stocks to buy now, BEAM is at the beginning because I think that this one right now shows the least promise out of the 6 that we have. Although there is a little bit to pay attention to. If we can get back up on top of those moving averages, and especially if we can sit on top of the 50 EMA, that's where that further upside comes in. Let's move over to Pacific Biosciences. There we go. So once again, monthly chart, momentum, down in bearish territory and sort of flat, if you will. So that flat look that we have down here, not necessarily great on a monthly basis. We want to see that long-term movement to signal the longer-term trend. And besides that pop, once again, that we had back in 2020 to 2021, it's kind of sputtered out since that time. It was all the way up to about $14 per share. Now it's down under $1 per share. In that penny stock territory. So this could be something that's sleeping, could be getting beat up over time. We don't really have a rise in momentum on a monthly basis. When we go to weekly, what do we see? Well, we had that rise coming. We couldn't break over the 50, sold back down. So once again, weekly basis, that longer term trend just isn't there. We're sitting down below the moving averages. Let me stretch that out so you can really see it on your screen here. This is the 50 and the 20 SMAs, the simple moving averages. We just don't quite have that movement on a weekly basis yet. Plus we put a new lower low and we're still dangling off the 5-period EMAs. So I put that into the best penny stocks to buy now, not because it's a longer term, but because the short term movement that we had with it. And we actually had a pretty darn good volume pop. And let me see if I can stretch the volume out there. There we go. There's the volume pop that we had. And I said, we need to continue this. We need to keep it going. And it sort of sputtered out since then. Now it's not necessarily done and over with. The RSI on a daily basis is still down below 50. We popped up above it the day that we had that volume, dropped down below it, but it is so far a higher low on the momentum indicator, which that could mean that maybe we go back and we cross back up over 50, which could be a bullish thing. $1 is going to be significant resistance for us for Pacific Biosciences. Now, mind you, I don't know if you guys watched any of that. We'll call it the Ant-Man, maybe the second one where they really start talking about the quantum realm. Maybe not the third one, because the third one was kind of garbage. I think I fell asleep and never bothered finish watching it, and I'm okay with that. But sort of how things don't necessarily function the same way that they do all the time. Penny stocks are kind of a wild world. Generally they function the same way, but just because they had a big pop, a lot of times because these aren't really strong companies, they move more on a technical basis, not necessarily on a fundamental one. Fundamentally, you can just see that sometimes they fall down and they never come back. So the things that I'm talking about here are usually purely technically driven for whatever is the underlying thing that's causing it to happen. Maybe there's a momentary big pop in news and some excitement. Maybe it's over shorting. It really sometimes maybe it's just manipulation for small enough market caps. In any case, let's look at the moving averages that we have here. So for this, the 5 is still under the 13. We never got that cross. We had that potential for it on the 29th of May. Not quite there. We're down below the 20 SMA, down below the 5 and the 13 EMAs. We got to get back on top of those in order to have that. Really, the only thing keeping on this list right now is that we're still up a little bit above where we were at when this movement started in the first place. If we can get back up on top, the moving averages, it'll move back up this list. I'm watching that RSI to see if it crosses back up over 50 in combination with bullish crosses for the moving averages. Let's go to an even better choice here. Ocugen, OCGN. There we go. Monthly chart. Look at this thing. This thing is just ugly for selling off. So this thing, it probably is on a split adjusted basis. I'm guessing 777.55-ish is where we had that peak and just sold off down here. I'm not seeing, at least as I'm zoomed in or zoomed out here, I can't see any indication of splits or anything like that. That it could also just be share dilution, that there was very few shares to start, and then share dilution over time caused the ones to be there to be pretty much worthless. So on a momentum basis, we actually do have a very long-term sluggish rise in momentum on the monthly chart, which is different than the first two that I shared with you and absolutely worth paying attention to. Let's go down to the weekly chart and see if we can find any different story. Well, here we go. On a weekly basis, we actually have across up to 52, we actually have bullish momentum on a weekly basis, which is a signal of a longer term trend. So monthly's not there yet, but it's rising. Weekly has crossed into bullish territory and it's rising. So we actually have a happier story coming along for OCGN. For Ocugen, as a matter of fact, if I stretch this out and we really zoom in here, we're actually even above the 20-week. Even though we just got rejected off the 50-week on this one, we could retest support. And so far, I'll show you on a daily chart, we actually have some hope, especially in the pre-market hours this morning. So definitely a brighter tune for OCGN than what we had for BEEM and PACB. So let's look at the daily chart, check the momentum on this one, the RSI. Now, mind you, those longer term background momentum movements that you have when people don't necessarily look all the way out at the monthly or the weekly charts, that being in the background, that build of momentum could cause a longer term trend to take place. And Ocugen is actually a company that actually has some fundamental momentum going along with it too, not just the technical side of things, as they are looking towards FDA approval for their therapies for, I guess, eye disorders, to just talk about it plainly. The doctor in Dr. Stock is an educational doctorate, not a medical doctorate. So let me zoom in here. First of all, technicals. We have this descending wedge. We broke out of it. We retested support and then blast off. We took that rocket ship. Now for the moving averages, we're up above the 50, which has the 20 above it. So that's a bullish thing. We're down below the 200, which is a bearish thing. But in the pre-market, after these two really indecisive candles, long wicks, narrow bodies, this is a battle being fought between the bulls and the bears. Pre-market hours up above the 200. And also that next move after indecision could be the thing that sets off the next movement that we see. Pushing not only up above the 200 is important for us, right around 85 cents, but furthermore, breaking $1 solidly is going to be the next big thing that we're looking for Ocugen. The volume still not too bad, tapering off, but that's what you get when there's indecisiveness. When there's not that conviction in a direction, you get the volume tapers. We got that volume conviction move during that uptrend that we got most recently. Let's put up the EMAs for a moment, take down the SMAs. We actually found support closed above the 13 3 different times, the 5s above the 13, and on in the pre-market so far. Pre-market's a weird time too. Pre-market, we're up above the 5 and the 13. We're up above the 50. There's a lot of near-term bullishness in this. Getting above that 200-day SMA is going to be absolutely huge. And so for OCGM, that's why it's number 4 on the list out of these 6. So we went through number 6, number 5, number 4, and now I got 3, 2, and 1 coming your way, which by the way, guys, remember over at the Discord, link in the description, you can save 50% when you sign up on your first month's membership. Use the earner tier so you get unrestricted access to the bread bot, which can tell you when big moves are coming, to the AI tools that are over there, the advanced charting tools as well. Leverage the community of thousands of members to find further opportunity and support in your journey towards financial freedom and building alpha in your portfolio, and the panel of experts that are over there waiting for you, sharing our analyses, our plays, our ideas, our convictions to help out with your due diligence. It's Stockmo's Discord that he constructed, but he brought us in. Now we got a big old team there to support you. Stockmo is a personal friend of mine. That's why when you look at the description, you'll also find Stockmo Academy. So there's the options course there, which I use options all the time for the alpha in my portfolio, and I use the alpha to dump into my long-term investments that help me build it towards that financial freedom that I'm looking for with that long-term investment goal in mind. So guys, the options course is there, but also technical analysis. If you really want to know the impact of what it is that I'm saying to you in this video, the technical analysis course can really help out with that. And part of that is the bread recipe trading strategy, which I talk about elements of it here all the time with the moving averages and the RSI, for example, and also volumes. That gets brought together. Nice, easy package with a bow on top of it, a present for you. Guys, those courses down there, code word doctor is also going to work on those as well. DOCTOR. Individually, the courses, a great value, especially even more of a value with that code word doctor for extra savings. Bundling the courses saves you the most. Along with that code word doctor, puts it down in that range that, man, it's just so tasty. Why not take a bite of it? So guys, I'm going to get back into the top 3 penny stocks, but check out those links in the description either right now. You can pause, check it out so that you can really see what's going on with these next 3, or you can also wait till the end of the video. I'll remind you guys can check it out there. So putting it up here for you, REKR. There we go. For this one, looking at the monthly chart, first of all, I see a double bottom on here. Perfect. I also see that we're down below the 20 and the 50. Not so perfect. That is more longer term bearishness that we're looking at. And you guys can see the rejection that we got right here with these candles, with those high wicks, that selling pressure that we get for REKR. But the double bottom, very strong bullish sign. These negative slopes, not great for us. We need to get on top of those moving averages. But the RSI is really what I want to pay attention to here on a monthly basis. What do we got going on as we look down through the different momentum, the different movements that we have? Look at that volume pop. That's a great thing to see that. We do need to sustain that movement. The RSI showing early signs of an increase. So you see this low that we have here, the peak, which did not overtake these previous peaks, but this low so far staying higher. We need another peak to push higher, hopefully closer to 50, but this is a monthly chart. This is going to take a while to see that play out. Let's go down to weekly, see what we're looking at. Look at that rise that we have. First of all, higher low here. That right there is a pretty exciting time for us going back to December, January, but while we're getting near that 50. For this one, we have that climb coming into place. That's why I think it deserves the number 3 spot on this list here. We'll see if it can break up over 50 in the coming weeks that we have. Now let's look at the moving averages that are also on here. because that's going to tell another story that we want to make sure that we see, because I have the simple moving averages up for you. We have this wick right here from Tuesday, well, the week of Tuesday, May 27th. So last week where we broke up over that, we need to sit on top of those moving averages. Right now being down below them, not great. 20 down below the 50, not great, but they're very close together, very much intertwined. We're well down below the 200 weeks, so definitely not a long-term bullish trend that we're looking at. If we switch over to the EMAs here and put these up, here's the encouraging thing. Near term, we're sitting on top the 13. We're above the 5. When we start riding on top those moving averages, when we get that 5 crossing over the 13, the green over top the yellow, that's a bullish thing for us. With that rising momentum, this thing could really push, and that's why I'm looking at it right now. And you guys can see the last time that we really got that push, but mine, it got wild when we started going north of $1.50. So we really want to be watchful for that. But between that double bottom that we got and also that momentum push that we have on a weekly basis, like I said, this one I think deserves the number 3 spot. Let's go down to the daily chart and check out what's going on there. We found support at the 13. The 5's above the 13. We were riding on top. We need to get back up there. The pre-market for REKR, for Rekor Systems, is currently showing us a nice little move. RSI is up above 50, but we got to be careful here because the RSI might be dipping back down on us. We don't know. Right now, look at that longer term rise that we have happening. We move down below this yellow moving average that's down here. So we don't want to turn that into a falling momentum because that puts us into question. Could we be falling back down below 50? I do think that longer term trend in the background is really going to help us out with a bullish bias for this one. So the RSI on a weekly is encouraging. The RSI on daily is also encouraging. Monthly, we definitely want to continue to see more evidence of a rise taking place. And we're up above. We have the 5 above the 13, above the 50. That's a perfect bullish setup, but we do need to get that price action back on top of that 5-period moving average. That's going to start show that longer term trend taking place. Let's put up the SMAs just for a moment here for you. We'll take those down. There's that sticking point, that 200-day at $1.22. I said we need to get up above that, and you guys can see the selling pressure that happens up above that. And remember, on the weekly chart, we also had moving averages there as resistance as well. So now we're getting that next launching point with a little bit of relaxed momentum on this one. We might be starting to see that next push. We got to break the 200-day to really keep it going. So if you're going to ask me, is this still alive? Yes, I believe it's still to be alive, but it really comes to life in a big way, fully opens up its eyes and starts to get energized up above that 200-day. All right, guys, let me take a sip of coffee here. We'll get into the number 2 and number 1 spots. All right, into QSI, monthly basis. So here's our quantum plays, quantum penny stocks. So quantum having a nice little time in the pre-market this morning. Look at the rise that we have so far for the momentum on a monthly basis. We peekabooed bullish back in December just for a little bit and then ripped right back down. But notice also the increased volume that we have. This could pop bullish on a monthly basis, which is wildly good for a penny stock play like Quantum SI. QSI is the ticker symbol that we're looking at here. So number 2 spot, because we do have such a clear rise in that momentum, with being close to 50, by the way, a cross up over 50 on a monthly basis is going to be great for us. Now for the price action, check this out. Let me shrink that down a little bit, and we'll shrink that down a little bit. There we go, because I really want you to pay attention to the price action that we have on here. Look at the bottoms on this things. We had the biggest bottom or the lowest bottom on this back in November before taking off, and so far the bottom that we got is higher than that previous one. So we have a higher low taking place with rising momentum. It's going to take a lot to overtake what we got over here, because likely there was some shorting, some significant shorting in the quantum space that became unwound, and explain some of the volume that we saw in the background. But I think on a monthly basis, we're also up above the 20-period moving average. We do have some selling pressure up here, but if we can get above that selling pressure right around 236, 240, man, we can start that next part up here, pushing on to the $3 mark. So let's move down to a weekly basis, see where we're put at in terms of momentum. And when we look on a weekly basis for this, once again, stretch these out for you, we are in bullish territory on a weekly basis right now. And for the moving averages, we are up above the 20. We're also up above the 50 on this. Shrink that back down so we can look at the price action. We're above the 20-period SMA. We're above the 50-period SMA. That's a nice bullish setup. We want to get that positive slope back. We definitely don't want that 20 week that we're looking at here. I don't know if I said day. These are weekly moving averages, as this is a weekly chart. This is a nice look when you see that higher low come in here. Also with that momentum, we want to keep that pushing higher. So we have that monthly movement in the background. We need it to flip bullish. Weekly is already bullish. We had a very strong week back in the middle of May, ending May. Kind of sold back down a little bit on us, and now we're starting to see if we're getting that next ramp period taking place here. Quantum stocks might start getting more institutional investment in this. I don't know about the penny stock side of things. One of them, it wasn't Rigetti, QBTS, I think it was. I think it was D-Wave Quantum. Number 2 retirement fund in the country just tossed some money that way. Fact checked, by the way, that it was QBTS. I believe that was the one, though. Certainly allowed us to find at least a temporary bottom for the quantum stocks. But this is about penny stocks, not quantum stocks. Let's go down to the daily chart here and take a look at this one. We have the 20 up above the 200. We have the 50 kind of running parallel right now with the 200, and we have the RSI rightly up into bullish territory, but definitely far away from overbought. We have evidence of buying pressure down here, down below $1.65. So this is good to see this. We want to get the 50 up over the 200 as well, get that golden cross going. That's going to be great for us. And then let me put up the exponential moving averages. We're still up above the 13. Excellent to see that as support. And now, mind you, you can more plainly see that support right now, that it absolutely wants to stay bullish, but it does have to overtake that 5-period EMA. So these are very near-term things that we're looking for. We want to look at the near-term signs and combine them with the longer-term trends to find the real opportunities that could be present with these best penny stocks to buy now. So QSI, got to really push to get back up on top of that 5. It's encouraging in a lot of ways to see us find support at that 13 period. And like I said, with the simple moving averages, the fact that we are up above the 20, the 50, and the 200 is also, once again, very encouraging. We could potentially see that next pop coming our way. We are solidly in the bullish territory for QSI, which definitely is different than some of the other earlier penny stocks that I mentioned. And now the number 1 that I have for you is BBAI. Big Bear AI is in the number 1 spot on this list, as we consistently have higher lows on this one, and we started getting higher highs. And then February, that's going to be a hard one to overtake for that one, but that's about $10. But maybe we see it. The RSI on a monthly basis. Let me move this up for you. There we go. RSI on a monthly basis is up in the bullish territory. As a matter of fact, it tried to go bearish on us, couldn't quite do it. Still up in bullish territory and still overall rising. That's a higher low than the previous low. We'll see if it pushes on to an even higher high. It's excellent to see that signal for a longer term trend. Now, in terms of the moving averages, we're not going to see too much in terms of the 50 or 200. It's just not been that long of a history for it, but the 20-month moving average that's on here, we're up above that. We found it as support. And so if we put up the EMAs, there we go. We can see more of that. This is 5 and 13 month that we're looking at. We're riding on top of both of them as of right now with that bullish momentum. Let's drop down to a weekly chart and see what else we see. Weekly basis, we have the 5 over the 13 over the 50. The RSI is up in bullish territory, but not overbought like it was back in February. So it's nice to see that rise as well. You can see the selling pressure that we have with these wicks. And even over here, lots of selling pressure from $5 downward to about where it's at right now. If we're able to overcome that, well, you guys saw what happened. That was a doubling over top that $5 mark that we saw the last time. So with the longer term time horizon, we could certainly see that for Big Bear AI. BBAI is the ticker symbol for that one. On a daily basis, momentum is kind of going sideways in bullish territory for us. That is going to speak to the price action that we see as well. It's not going to be wildly up or down from where we're at right now, just generally sluggishly, there we go, bullish for us with a few big moments in between, such as this spike that we had going back to Tuesday, the 27th, but we're still in bullish territory here. So we have the monthly chart showing us bullish movement, bullish momentum, weekly showing us bullish momentum, and still on the daily chart as well, which is going to be the noisiest of the 3. Now, what do we need in terms of moving averages? Right now in the pre-market, we're up above the 5. We have the 13 as support. We've been riding the 13 as support for, let me see, May 19th. We also almost got there on the 20th. We got there on the 21st. We got there on the 23rd. We got there again on the 30th, which was Friday. So we clearly have that 13 EMA as support. The 5 is what we got to get on top of. We don't want to see it cross down over the 13. That can be a signal for us of near-term bearishness. In terms of simple moving average, We have the 20 above the 50, above the 200. That's perfectly bullish for what you want to see. Maybe we see a reversion to the mean here. That wouldn't be the worst thing for us. And if we put up the technicals on here, just to close this thing off for you, we're in this near-term bullish channel happening, and we're down near support once again. Now, in the background of all of this is market bias. If the stock market's going to go to all-time highs on us, as I believe it can in June, the penny stocks could rally with it. And this one is also in the AI space, and we are seeing a bit of a broadening in the AI space towards looking for places outside of NVIDIA. Okay, where's the next thing where we really start to see that rapid expansion? Big Bear AI could be one of those places where we see it for a lot of the evidence that I gave to you for monthly, weekly, and daily charts that are on there. Also with market bias, if instead we don't see all-time highs, and if instead the jobs reports, the labor reports, the tariff news, inflation reports, the Fed, whatever gives us reason to sell down instead of going towards all-time highs, it's going to be difficult for these penny stocks to do their thing and move higher. So that's the bias side of things. Guys, let me know what you think about the order of these 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you have a favorite out of the 6? Do you have another one to talk about that I haven't covered in this video? Have you joined us over at the Discord? If not, links in the description. Use the code word doctor with the earner tier. When you sign up, it's going to save you a ton on that first month, and then I think you're going to like what you see. You'll probably end up staying. I know the thousands of members who are already over there are having a great time with it, and as the panel experts, I can tell you we absolutely love being part of that community because they are just excellent and amazing people. And then also down in the description, if you want to learn more about the technicals that I've talked about how to use options to really add extra leverage and alpha to your portfolio, that course is there as well through Stockmo Academy. Code word doctor works for that as well. Guys, thanks for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.